In the dark, crowded streets of Brooklyn, a young boy watched his father struggle. A father who worked hard all his life, but never got respect. No savings, no insurance, one accident at work, and his whole family was left broken. That boy's name was Howard Schultz. And against all odds, he grew up to build Starbucks, the biggest coffeehouse empire in the world. Howard grew up in public housing projects. The walls were thin, the nights were cold, and money was always short. He would see kids in better neighborhoods and wonder, why not me? When Howard was only 7 years old, his father broke his leg. With no health insurance, the family fell into crisis. Howard saw his father, angry, hopeless, defeated. That pain burned into his memory. He promised himself, one day, I'll build a company where people are treated with dignity. But promises don't put food on the table. Howard took on odd jobs as a teenager, selling newspapers, carrying boxes, bartending, anything to survive. Through loans and scholarships, he somehow entered college, something no one in his family had ever done before. Even in college, he worked multiple shifts. Sports gave him discipline, poverty gave him hunger. And both together built his character. After graduation, Howard worked in sales. And then, one ordinary day, something extraordinary happened. He walked into a small coffee shop in Seattle called Starbucks. Back then, Starbucks wasn't famous. It was just a few stores selling coffee beans. But when Howard tasted their coffee, and saw their passion, he felt something spark inside him. Coffee wasn't just a drink. It was an experience, a connection, a community. Howard had a vision, a dream of creating a place where people could gather. A third place, between home and work. A place where a single cup of coffee could bring strangers together. He pitched the idea to investors. But almost everyone laughed. Americans will never pay for fancy coffee. Over 200 rejections. Doors slammed in his face. Banks refused loans. Friends told him to quit. But Howard remembered his father, and he whispered to himself, I will not give up. Howard worked tirelessly. He traveled to Italy to study espresso bars. He returned with fire in his heart. But dreams needed money, and money was something he didn't have. Finally, after endless rejections, a few investors gave him a chance. He bought Starbucks. And with every store, every cup, every smile, he built something bigger than coffee. It wasn't easy. There were failures, debt, sleepless nights. But Howard kept going, because he knew what was at stake. He wasn't just selling coffee. He was building hope. From one store in Seattle, to thousands across America, Starbucks became a movement. Howard made sure his employees got health insurance, even part-timers. Because he remembered his father, and he promised no one working under him would suffer the same way. Today, Starbucks has more than 30,000 stores in 80 countries. Howard Schultz, the boy from the projects, became a billionaire. But when asked about success, Howard doesn't talk about money. He talks about dignity, about respect, about creating a company that cares. And maybe that's the biggest lesson: greatness doesn't come from where you start. It comes from how deeply you believe, and how hard you refuse to quit. Howard Schultz built more than coffee shops. He built a symbol, a reminder that no matter how small you begin, you can change the world.